The woman hit the girl. The reason was that the girl had just insulted her. The woman knew the girl didn't mean it, because the girl was being controlled by a demon at the moment. Soon, the demon took control of the girl again. It started to use its powers. The demon could appear here because it received help from Jack. Jack was the host of this TV show. In the 1970s and 1980s, there were cults in the United States that worshipped demons. Many people were involved in them. There were rumors that Jack was involved as well, but there was no evidence. Jack was an excellent host. After his wife's death, he took a break from the public eye. However, Jack made a comeback soon after. He planned a new show. The premiere was scheduled for Halloween in 1977. Jack wanted to rely on the show to regain his dwindling popularity. This time, Jack selected a few special guests. In the evening, the first person to appear was an Indian named Chrisu. Chrisu was a medium. It claimed he could hear the voices of the deceased. Chrisu told the audience that he heard the name Peterson. Soon, a member of the audience responded to Chrisu. He said his wife's last name was Peterman. Chrisu said her spirit would appear there. The audience member said his wife had eloped with someone else. Chrisu realized he made a mistake, but he believed some margin of error was reasonable. Chrisu then asked a lady if she knew the name Eddie. The lady said her son's name was Edmund. Chrisu guessed that the child had passed away. Chrisu was not wrong. The lady also reminisced about her child. The performance was very successful. It seemed like he truly was a medium. Before going to commercials, Chrisu suddenly held his head. He said he received a strong signal. He heard a name called Minnie. A few minutes later, Chrisu returned to normal. Chrisu's actions were very miraculous, but it was just a trick by Jack and the producer. The two of them wanted to use such program features to increase the show's ratings. After the intermission, the second guest, Egg, took the stage to perform. He excelled in magic and hypnosis. Egg used the disappearance of a cigar to prove to the audience that he was not a fraud. Egg told the audience that he focused more on human supernatural abilities. When it comes to people, any artificially created false supernatural powers, Egg would expose them all. After saying that, Egg took out a check and said whoever could prove their own supernatural abilities, he would give them the check. During the show's recording, Egg believed that the Indian man was a fraud, which made Chrisu very angry. He picked up a glass of water and splashed it on Egg. Chrisu felt insulted, and he claimed that he would no longer continue recording. Jack began to ease the tension. He told the audience that the name Minnie mentioned by Chrisu was actually his deceased wife, Madeline. With Jack's testimony, Egg's words were no longer convincing to people, but he still attempted to argue cunningly. Egg believed that if Chrisu could make Jack's wife appear, he would give Chrisu $1 million. Right at that moment, Chrisu started feeling discomfort in his abdomen, and then started vomiting black water. To prevent chaos from erupting in the live show, Jack quickly aired commercials. Chrisu was taken to the hospital, but before leaving, he mentioned feeling something was wrong. Egg believed it was Jack's scheme. He knew the host was also involved in the cult. Jack did not respond directly. Jack went to talk to the producer. The other person told Jack, the audience feedback is very positive. The break time is over. Jack discusses books with the audience. The book is called Conversations with the Devil. The author is a doctor named June. She wrote a book about her experiences with the devil. And the origin of all this is because of cult leader Shender. In the church of Abraxas, he performed a ritual sacrifice to the devil. He offered himself to the devil Abraxas. However, the federal government had no intention of letting him go. They confronted Shender. In the end, Shender and others decided to self-immolate. But unexpectedly, a little girl survived the fire. People named her Lily. Not long after, Lily showed a strange side. The authorities contacted June, the doctor, in the hope that she could help Lily. They hoped she could assist Lily. October 10, 1976, June met Lily for the first time. Their conversation was also recorded. While the recording content was very eerie, on the show, June and Lily were invited to the stage. At this moment, Lily was not as terrifying as rumored. She was no different from any other little girl. The girl told Jack not to worry about her affecting the ratings, as the show is going to be very famous. The break time came quickly. June decided to have a conversation with Jack. She said Lily hasn't fully recovered yet. Last night, sleeping Lily mentioned Jack's name. This is not good news. Jack said there's no need to worry. After June left, the producer told Jack Chrisu hadn't arrived at the hospital yet. He had already died from coughing up blood. This made Jack unable to believe it. He thought it was just Chris's design, but he didn't expect there would actually be ghosts. On the deputy's side, he felt very confused because the script and the program's flow were inconsistent. He wanted to ask the staff, but no one was willing to explain to him. Right at that moment, the deputy noticed something strange about Jack. At this moment, Hake was chatting with the audience on stage. He learned that Chris collected everyone's information. The show continued. Jack brought up June's profession as the topic of conversation. June said she was researching mental issues that couldn't be explained by any science. Lily was an example of that. A demon dwelt within her. It was a subordinate of the demon Abraxas. The program team brought out the sacrificial dagger used by Shinder. Lily told everyone she could sense the actions of the demon, but now, with the help of Dr. Tune, she could barely control the demon. At this moment, the live music suddenly made a sound. The deputy was about to turn it off, but got shocked by electricity. The music became piercing. The cups on the table shattered. Hake quickly unplugged the power. Lily believed that it was the devil exerting its power. Jack asked if the girl could make the demon appear. June didn't agree with such an action, but the audience also wanted to see the demon. June had no choice but to agree. The show entered a break. June questioned Jack. What would they do if an accident happened? As she was responsible for Lily, June angrily sat her back in her seat. The deputy found Jack and said he didn't like the show's design. The show incorporated many negative elements. God wouldn't blast Jack. Nevertheless, Jack didn't care. As long as he could save his ratings. Even if it's a demon, he won't be afraid. The deputy said he knew about Chris's situation, but Jack still had no intention of stopping. The break time was quickly coming to an end. Lily was tied to a chair by the staff. June started her work. Not long after, the demon noticed Jack. What was strange was, he actually knew him. The demon said they had met in the woods. June wanted to control the demon, but the demon began to expose Jack. He mentioned Jack's wife, and then he mocked the relationship between June and Jack. This made June very angry. She slapped the demon directly. Lily started crying because of this. June felt like she shouldn't have done that. She wanted to apologize to Lily, but the demon suddenly lunged at June. This made her even more furious. June started hypnotizing the demon. The demon didn't care. He chanted the incantation along with June. The demon questioned Jack why he wasn't helping him. Right at that moment, a current of electricity ran across the ceiling. Lily and the chair started levitating together. Several minutes later, the chair fell back to the ground. At this moment, Lily returned to her original state. June hugged her with concern. It was break time again. Jack was very pleased with June's performance, but June asked Jack to explain why the demon knew Jack. Jack didn't tell the truth. He concealed the truth. On Lily's side, because she was still tied to the chair, she cried out. Jack used a dagger to cut the ropes for her. On the backstage side, the deputy didn't give up. He found the producer. He told the producer his thoughts, but the producer didn't care. He blamed the deputy. The deputy was not satisfied with the leader's actions. He told Hake about Chris's situation. This made Hake doubt the program. Before the broadcast, the producer told Jack the higher-ups valued his show a lot. Jack was very surprised. It meant his efforts weren't in vain, but Jack was still a little scared because the demon's voice sounded a lot like his wife's. The show continued. Hake started his speech. He believed there was no demon. Just now, June hypnotized Lily. June doesn't agree with Hake's statement. She asked Hake to explain the previous situation. Hake isn't worried. He decided to demonstrate his abilities to the audience. So, Hake asked the deputy for help. After the lights dimmed, Hake asked the deputy to look at his pocket watch. He asked the deputy if he was afraid of worms. The deputy said he was very scared. Hake told the deputy that he was successfully hypnotized, but the deputy didn't believe it. Hake snapped his fingers. The deputy felt hot and itchy. He felt uncomfortable all over. Soon, he took off his clothes. The next moment, the deputy actually scratched his neck open. He pulled out a worm. What's even more terrifying is that the deputy tore open his own stomach. A pile of worms spilled out. The audience was frightened by this scene. Quickly, Hake lifted the hypnosis. The deputy, however, was unharmed. It turns out, his hypnotized subject wasn't the deputy. It was everyone present. When the camera focused on the pocket watch, his hypnosis had already begun. This is group hypnosis. Hake believes that June is using group hypnosis techniques to prove himself. Lily asked the director to play the recording, but in one of the frames, Jack's attention was drawn. During the playback, he saw his deceased wife standing behind him. This terrified Jack. Hake doesn't care. He believes it's Jack's design. Right at that moment, Lily lowered her head and started crying. Jack intended to comfort her, but he was struck by electricity. At this moment, the studio lights also started malfunctioning. The next second, Lily suddenly stood up. She started manipulating the electricity. Soon, her own head also split open. The audience on the stage was scared away. The deputy took out a cross towards Lily. As a result, his neck was twisted off. June intended to control Lily, but she was suspended in the air by supernatural forces using a necklace. Hake no longer questioned. He expressed his loyalty to the demon. He even took out his own check, yet the demon burned the check and set Hake on fire. Jack didn't understand why it turned out like this. The producer quickly pulled him out of the scene, but Jack hesitated, and the next second, Jack appeared on the scene again. The people on the stage seemed normal, except the audience below, who were very eerie. Soon, Jack remembered his past episodes. Each episode had strange content. Jack shouted to turn off the TV. After a moment of mental confusion, he returned to the time when he signed a contract with the TV station. He had already achieved fame and success. The other party asked Jack, what did he sacrifice that made him get where he is today? Then, Jack took a cup, supported by two people in white robes, and entered a room. Many people in strange costumes were around Jack. Ultimately, Chandler brought him in front of an owl. Jack knelt down and drank the water in the cup. Suddenly, the room door opened. Jake's wife lay on the bed. It turns out that Jack made a deal with the demon. He sacrificed his own wife, and his career flourished since then. Jack killed his wife with his own hands, but the next second, Jack appeared on the scene, and he stabbed Lily with a dagger. Jack thought it was a hypnotism, but the sound of sirens at the door made him realize that everything was over. The story came to an end. The film Late Night with the Devil, as a pseudo-documentary horror film. Its production was excellent. The director chose the filming style of the 1970s and 1980s. For the live content in the film, live and back-end communication outside of live streaming was filmed in normal black and white style. This exceptional design made the film's sensationalism and narrative pace reach an excellent balance point. In terms of character design, the film prepared three groups of characters, arranging them to appear in sequence, with the aim of presenting different paranormal phenomena individually, rather than focusing on them together. This is also the most commendable aspect of the film. In terms of the story, the director tells a horror story that doesn't have major logical issues. Jack made a deal with the demon. He gave up his good side and threw himself into the demon's embrace. Jack killed his wife in an illusion, and he also killed the girl in reality. In the end, the demon's minions used the protagonist to carry out a sacrifice to their leader. Although Jack gained high ratings, the legal consequences awaited him. If you like my channel, please subscribe to it.